All right, that being the case, here we go, and we'll see if anybody ends up showing up. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because UnrenownedTech decided to show up at the very literal last second and screw everything up for me. Thank you so much. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Trivial. You can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Hi, good to be with you. I'm going to start off introductions this way for a reason. From across the water over to Paris, France, Joseph, good morning. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning.
There you are. And from the right-hand side of North America, chiming in at literally the last possible second, UnrenownedTech. Good morning. And we have no audio. Well, that's a problem.
Wait, you what?
There you are. Hi, good morning. You made it.
What do you mean I have no audio? Am
No,
I coming in quiet?
you got audio now.
Oh, oh, I was gonna say I could leave and come back again if you'd like.
I'm not going to
I mean,
trust you not to come back. So hi, good morning, everybody. It's good to be back with you. Oh God, it's going to be one of those mornings right now. I've got annoyances with Discord and OBS and my Logitech webcam and for those of you that have been with us long enough over on YouTube, I had to do some kind of funkiness in order to get my video to show correctly for YouTube. The way that I do it is I actually capture the Discord video chat, which is what you see. And unfortunately, Discord decides, oh, well, on your screen, you're going to see everything left to right horizontally flipped. So everything for you is backwards, but for everybody that you've got a call with, everything's fine. The problem of it is, since what I send out to YouTube is what I've got on my screen, that means that if you look at my hat, it's backwards and difficult to read because Discord doesn't give you the option to horizontally flip it on your local side because reasons. I don't know. I don't get it. It's just one of those things. I gotta look up stuff.
Perfectly readable.
Yeah, for you. All the nice.
See very well.
Yeah.
Ride for swell.
Ride for Roswell. Yep, that's the one. So, yeah, it's gonna be one of those. That's okay. So,
well, you can always reverse it for us, and that way the audience doesn't have that problem.
See, I don't know how to do that again because that's the way that I used to have it, and I can't find the control to switch it again.
Do you have a Logitech camera by chance?
Yeah.
Just go to Logitech's website, download their software, and it's in there, the webcam controller.
It's not. I don't
Really?
know why. It's not.
We'll work on that some other time when we have free time.
Yeah, really. It's annoying.
If he sees it the right way around, it's going to be the wrong way around.
Yeah, but that's normally the way it is for you guys. So
you know what you should do. Oh, I got a perfect April Fool's joke for you, but that's later.
What I need. Anyway, so hi everybody, good to be back with you. Over in the live chat, by the way, if you feel adventurous and you want to join us on the live chat down over there, I have to remember which way I have to point. I can't be pointing where the live chat is for me on my screen, which is over there. I have to point where it is on the screen for all of you who are watching, which means down over there. So, Felis made it early. Hi. I hope you're not getting iced over with storms coming in from the left coast. Joy. And Stephanie, good morning. Hope things are doing well for you out over there too, because I mean, weather's just been weird. Yeah, there's some locations over here in North America that have gotten the brunt of what's actually winter weather. For instance, up Dalan's way, they had, negative 20 Celsius temperatures during this past week, which is honestly, what it should be. But the fact that it hadn't been, and then it was, and then it wasn't again, was kind of the hell's going on. Okay, it's Calgary, it's Alberta. It is what it is, but at the same time, this is not the way it's supposed to work. And I had a whole bunch of folks that were worried about me because, out the Buffalo market and there's more stuff coming your way. Yeah, it got cold, but I mean, no big thing. It's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine over here out at Casa Little Tree. I had a 10-second window of losing power, but I hardly noticed it because it was in the morning and I didn't have my lamp on, and all of a sudden my UPS suddenly screams at me, and I'm like, oh, I got no power. And 10 seconds later, power came back on again, and my server downstairs, I'm just like, oh crap, I wonder what would have happened to... Came back up online like it's supposed to. It's just like, yeah, man, whatever. It's fine by me, man. It's all good. Hex has been doing wonderful for me, so, good on me there. I don't have very much of anything to let you guys know about that's, like, interesting. Other than I solved a techie problem with my son being able to watch over-the-air television from the house while he's at college. Because I got conflicting information from posts all over the place about Plex. Oh yeah, you can have people do that. No, you can't do that. And just a big rigmarole, and got him on the phone, finally hashed it out. I was just like, well, there you go. Not that most people watch over-the-air television anymore, but, it's kind of cool to solve the tech issue. So, there's that. So, hi.
I mean, if you're looking for something relatively interesting, health officials in Kentucky are worried about a measles outbreak due to some kind of religious gathering. Hmm. Or how about this? If you live in another country and you want to visit the United States, you have to get a booster shot for the polio vaccine.
I wish you were kidding right now.
No,
I wish you were kidding.
We're definitely on Germany's list for that.
God. Great. That's just great. Well, we've got no lack of anything to talk about then. How about I get things rolling, and we'll kind of work it from there.
We would just pray it away,
We could. Not successfully, but, I mean, could. A lot of things we could do. I mean...
Let's see, what we do is we all pray it away, and those who live, that's the one God's wanted, protected.
Or, option B, we just give everybody flamethrowers and flamethrow the atmosphere and get rid of everything that's in the, burn everything out.
See, the way I see it, we actually get people, everybody gets a flamethrower, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it has a distance limit, right? 6 feet and the flame drops off, right?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the way that it works. Yeah, but okay.
All right. And that way, whenever I go out and somebody starts to get close, I can... If they back up, hey, they're safe. If they don't back up, well, I mean, they're on fire for Jesus.
And people wonder why I want a dilithium energized, left-hand polarized, helically polarized, left-hand optimized Model 7 Mark II personal photorp launcher. The one with the radium sights on the front?
You talking about the one with the pistol grip?
Well, it's a dual grip, but I mean, yeah. Kind of over the shoulder. You know what? We'll just move it along, and we'll just move it along. So, with 5 minutes on the clock for you, your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Cycles. So there are 2 pieces about this. Item number 1, birthdays. Birthdays come, birthdays go. We know full well, they happen sooner or later because that's the way that we orbit the sun. It's kind of the way. But there are things that, are kind of cool that way. For instance, mine is coming up next weekend. Problem of it is, I was trying to think to myself, oh crap, okay, so how old am I going to be? Okay, well, let's hash this out. Okay, so it's 2022. I'm 1 year older because I was born in 69. No, it's not 20. Okay, wait. I don't even remember what year it is, so I don't even think about what year it is. So I'm 39. You know what? Screw it. Fun part of it is, those of you that saw my posts on Facebook, that I can milk a joke all I want until it's dead and buried, and then milk it some more. There was also a birthday that came up for a one Mr. Sam Mulvey over there at KTQA at Ask an Atheist, Washington, Tacoma. So I called the radio station. I left a couple of birthday messages for him, and then called back and told him, I sacked the person that made that last phone call because they're single, and then called back again and sacked the guy that sacked the other guy because I mean that's just kind of the way that it works. And finally called back the last time and used my little rotary phone over here, slammed the handle on it so that it would ring, but I didn't hang up the phone call because it was on my cell phone, and I'm just like, oh wait, you can't do this on a cell phone, damn it, and then hung up. You know what? I expect that he had himself a good laugh. I hope. I haven't heard back yet. Really hope. That's the nice side of it. The downside of these cycles is that inevitably there is a last birthday that will happen for us all. I got a buddy of mine, a guy in Second Life that actually kind of begged, I might say, one night, would anybody like to learn how to be a DJ here in Second Life? Because I've been doing it for a really, really long time. Like I think it was like every week or every night or whatever the hell it was. And he just wanted to have some downtime. And I figured, what the hell? I don't have a great collection, but I like music. So at the time, with a Windows 2000 computer, Winamp and the Streamcast plugin, which I could never get the goddamn microphone to work, so I couldn't do live, I started down the career, if you will, of being an online DJ in Second Life. Yeah, done fairly successfully. He's dying. I don't mean that in a philosophical sense or an esoteric sense. He is in the last stages right now. He is currently in hospice. I will be surprised if he survives through the end of next. He's not doing real. He's having a little bit of a hard time cognitively because of the drugs that they're giving him, and for the record, cancer. So fuck cancer. Every time, every way. Part of the reason why I wear this. We know that sooner or later we will either lose people in our lives or they will lose us. It's an inevitability. Doesn't mean that we have to like it, because I'm going to say it because it's the only expression that makes any kind of sense. God knows I don't. I can't express how much it hurts me, because there's nothing that I can do. I'm not a medical person. The best that I could do the other weekend was we had a celebration of life event for him in Second Life. I played music. A bunch of us talked. I recorded the whole damn thing. And he got to listen to at least a good portion of it while he was in and out of consciousness and in and out of being lucid. We do what we can. The medical stuff is beyond most of us. But the spirit, the hope, the mind, we do what we can for them. And as much as it hurts, I'm glad I was able to do part. Thanks, man. I don't like making these things too damn personal, but you know, there's just not a hell of a lot of anything I sometimes. It is what it is. So let's move it along and deal with the fun stuff. Which means time for the horrible scope. So for those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. Those of you that don't, it doesn't matter. You roll a d12. I found out, by the way, Dalan found out for me, there are d12s out there with astrological symbols on them. So if you wanted to buy one of those, you could conceivably order one. And there you go. So keep that in mind for later. Now, last week, the stars decided that your mockery decided payback in the form of a chaotic, rudderless collection of horrible scopes. This week, someone suggested an entire collection of preformed scopes based on the Studio Ghibli universe. So, we get to find out, who do you think is the better writer? Keep in mind, I'm taking notes from everyone. Aries, you are a wild soul who doesn't hesitate to stand up for their loved ones. You are Teto from Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind.
Joseph.
You go first.
Okay, Tech, fine, you go.
Okay. Taurus, you are a friendly spirit who knows what they want and is great at reading people. You are the Suit Sprites from My Neighbor Totoro and Spirited Away.
Gemini, you are an enigmatic spirit who thrives on a variety of meeting and interesting people. You are Catbus from My Neighbor Totoro.
I think Gemini
Sorry,
wins
Heather.
because Cat Bus is awesome.
Cat Bus is just, you know, got to see My Neighbor Totoro a little while ago, because over in Second Life on Thursday nights we have a movie viewing. This week, by the way, was Jason and the Argonauts. Love it. So yeah, got to see My Neighbor Totoro, and Cat Bus is just weird, but you know, it's pretty, so you know, whatever. Cancer Moonchild, you are a caring soul who protects their own and is willing to fight for their beliefs. You are Moro from Princess Mononoke.
Leo, you are a sublime soul who's quick with a joke and somehow keeps everything running. You are Calcifer from Howl's Moving Castle. Also another excellent one.
Yeah, that's another one that we saw on Thursday night. And I'm sorry, but angry Calcifer is best Calcifer.
Is it the first time
Virgo.
that you saw those two movies?
Yes.
Wow.
Virgo, you are an ethereal spirit who is deeply connected to nature and mindful of their surroundings. You are Kodama from The Princess Mononoke.
Yeah. And folks, by the way, I do know that Joseph's volume is low on my side. I will be adjusting that momentarily. Don't worry about it. Joseph, don't you do anything. It's not your problem. It's on my side. Discord being a pain in my ass. Libra, You are a charming soul who has a truly striking presence, inside and out. I the D&D player in me was actually kind of wondering if this was supposed to be a separate D20 roll to hit, but I mean, whatever. You are Lily from Kiki's Delivery Service.
I don't know how I feel about this one, but okay. Scorpio, you are a courageous soul who always follows her heart into adventure, seeking her truest self. You are Ponyo from Ponyo. I'm sorry, but Ponyo is not the first character I think of when I think of Scorpio.
Yeah. Sagittarius. You're an adventurous spirit whose hilarious and boisterous energy makes everyone feel included. You are Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro.
It's funny how that works out that way. Capricorn, you are a fiercely loyal soul who might be slow to warm up to, but has a heart of gold. You are Midas. No, wait, sorry, no. You are Nia from the secret world of, how is that pronounced? Ariete?
Arity.
Arity? Okay, Arity. Sure, yeah.
I've always pronounced it Arity.
Fine.
It's probably Arity. Aquarius, you are a cheerful soul who's truly supportive and down for anything. You are Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service.
Pisces. You are a mysterious spirit who finds connection through kindness and sensitivity. You are No Face from Spirited Away.
And for those of you that have seen Adam Savage doing his cosplay as No Face, the story that goes along with that is just so good. So much fun. Those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, I don't want to know, because I didn't write these. And I'm going to be very, very pissed off if people go ahead and say that these are better than mine. However, if you'd like to ask for something nicer and naughtier, you can just ask me, because I don't run on Duncan, I run on Vanity. So just ask. I'll have these posted at the end of the week as usual. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Nothing's imploded yet, surprisingly. So I guess they'll still be available. Fine. It'll be fine. I, believe it or not, I have actually considered the idea of recording them myself and creating its own, maybe kind of podcast, maybe just email listing out to folks, because I mean I can bang them out inside of 15 minutes, and they don't have to be 320 kilobit per second audio tracks. I mean, it's not too terribly different. Just a thought. Just a thought. Is episode 422 on the docket, Your Honor? Ashes to Ashes. Yeah, it does sort of fall in line with what I opened with. But this past week was Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. And then, well, the beginning of Lent, which included Catholics around the world getting fingerprints on the middle of their forehead for some reason. And honest and truly, the whole point of it has never really sat with me right, even as a kid growing up being taught all this stuff. Because what's supposed to be the point? And that's kind of where I wanted to go this week. Before we have the anniversary of me pissing off somebody that I knew back in high school, who was a dick back then and continues to be. And I will be more than satisfied to read his obituary one day. I have every intention of outliving him, because I expect he's going to piss off the wrong person one day, and well, violence happens in this country often enough, and there are some situations where it's basically inevitable. And that's kind of what
Like,
we're expecting.
you can already start preparing his obituary.
I think I just did. 4 words. He was a dick. I can just finish off with that. And meanwhile, I've got a thing that pinged me over on Discord, but I have to take a quick look over at that and talk and read at the same time. So the whole point of tonight was to kind of go on the whole thing and ask the question, what in the hell is really, the point of some of these things that religion says are the traditions to do? As a perfect example, we've got Lent. For those that are unaware, I'm not sure about all Christian, but minimally in the Catholics. And I know, some people are going to be going ahead and saying, well, Catholics aren't Christian. Yeah, they are. They're not evangelicals, but they are. And all of you that ever grew up saying, oh, Catholics and Christians are two different, no, they're not. Don't be stupid. The point of it, as it had been given to me, was that you were supposed to give up something that you liked as to mimic the way that Jesus gave up food, water. No, being around people and walking around I don't. It never made any sense. So it kind of just jumbled up in my head, and it's like, the hell even is the point? And the one that screws me up the most is, why go into church in the middle of the week? Okay, some people do that. I mean, that's a thing. The older folks especially would end up doing that, 2-3 times a week. Sometimes, just Saturday or Sunday, depending. And then, sometime in the middle of the week, usually Wednesdays. Don't quote me on that one. I'm thinking back to, the mid 70s when I visited my grandparents in Brooklyn. So, what can I tell you, man? This is what I can remember from all those years ago. But getting ashes put on your forehead as a symbol of... And see, that's the problem. At that point, after all these years, I don't even know. I don't even know what the hell the point of it was. Is to identify each other? Okay. So what? So that you can all make sure that you don't have meatballs for the duration of Lent?
I believe it was 30 days, right?
40 days for Lent.
I don't know, I never really paid much attention to Lent. I think it's kind of silly. It's like, ooh, like, what was it? The kids in school would say stuff like, "Oh, I've given up chocolate for Lent," or "I've given up fried food for Lent," or "I've given up soda for Lent." And I was like, "Hey, how about you like do something productive with your time? How about you like instead of doing that crap for Lent, which doesn't really take much effort, how about you go out and help the homeless or the hungry, or maybe you start standing up for the kids at school who your quote unquote friends are making fun of. How about you actually make an effort to be a better person rather than just do something oh well, fuck, it's America, oh it's Christianity, whoop de frickin' do. It's something to make you feel good about yourself, to say, oh, I've gone through this horrible thing, I've given up for 40 days, this thing I really enjoy, and you're not really giving up much of anything. And then look how, what is it? Penitent I am. It's like, you're full of yourself.
The first time I ever heard the term penitent, that I can remember was Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones and the Last
Here,
Crusade.
here's something interesting. I want to compare apples to oranges for a moment. Okay, I've got a Jewish background. You want to talk about atonement? How about Yom Kippur? Okay, now from sunrise to sunset, you don't work. You don't go to school. You're not supposed to go to school, but but some do. But you don't do any work. Okay, you don't do any cleaning and cooking or anything like that. What you do is you sit by yourself, or maybe in a group with your family, but you're not having a conversation with each other. You are spending the entire day from sunup to sundown in deep introspection of all the bad things you have done in the last 365 days. Every single thing you've done wrong, every person you've harmed, every commandment, everything that you've broken. And you recognize what you've done is wrong. And then you have to literally pray for forgiveness, actually want to be forgiven for what you've done wrong. And then when it's over, sure, there's a feast, to celebrate the atonement. But you're supposed to spend the next 365 days until the next Yom Kippur attempting to not make those same mistakes again, to not do those wrongs again.
It's one of the reasons why.
Of course, you could get a little cross and ash on your forehead and give up chocolate.
But so help me, you are not getting my coffee. Screw you. Fine. Coffee. So yeah, now see, this is one of the reasons why. Oh, by the way, backing up just a second, Stephanie is filling in. Not just the Catholics, Ash Wednesday is also quote celebrated in the Church of England, which is ostensibly dying off. Sorry, Christian. That's the word I was looking for. Christian. Sorry. Easy to screw those two. Ed is also saying Lent was originally pagan. It was to allow domesticated animals to reproduce. I'm gonna keep my commentary to myself about certain items because, well, okay, we're not gonna be monetizing this video anyway, but it's nicer that way. Uh, that's now see what Tech was saying. That is one of the reasons why, generally speaking, not all. Is it considered a denomination of Judaism if you're talking about quote unquote secular Jews, observant Jews, the Hasidic community, Orthodox? I mean, is the term?
I'm familiar with Orthodox. I'm familiar with Reformed, but I've never ever interacted with Hasidic Jews.
Hmm.
Right, those extreme levels of Judaism.
Hasidic Jews. I'm
Those
sorry.
are the
I'm
guys. If you're breaking any kind of Jewish rules or code, you don't want to meet some Hasidic Jews in a back alley.
no.
You might have a bad time.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. Hasidic Jews are the Amish Jewish community.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way that I can say about it. Chickens.
So
Yeah, chickens
they're
was the thing.
they're very, yeah. The Hasidic Jews are very conservative,
Yeah.
and they do have a lot of seclusive natures, and they
Yeah.
take. Some people say the Orthodox are very strict. I say the Hasidic could actually be even more so,
Oh, they are.
because because that seclusion. Um, and this is any group. This is not just the Jewish community. Any group where you have seclusion as a heavy part of your lifestyle, you're not branching out. you're not getting input from the world around you. You're not melding with societies and different groups and thoughts. There's nothing new. You're in a bubble, and your bubble becomes tighter around you. You get a more narrow worldview. And so when somebody comes along and they kind of break that fourth wall of your narrow worldview, it's painful to your psyche. And I would say any group that is seclusionist is going to hate that. That's why I was saying I would rather, get in trouble with an Orthodox Jew than a Hasidic Jew.
Yeah, there is that.
No,
Uh,
the
Go ahead.
the when people live in communities like that, don't forget that they're living according to somebody else's guidelines. So it's all the more harder because I mean, making any analysis of their own way of living requires critical thought.
Yeah, and these communities tend to be. Uh, I hesitate to use the term isolationist, but it does have a tendency to be that way.
Yeah, and the Hasidic community, um, if you ask, like much like any religion will tell you about love and not fearing things and joy and humility towards God and loving each other and all that stuff and loving yourself. They all say that sort of stuff, but don't forget the Hasidic Jews. They have mystics, and the groups do vary because they are, they do have those seclusionary practices. So one group might be nicer than the other when somebody who is an outsider comes along. You know, they might actually live up to that. Love one another and be nicer to each other. Then you might also have a mystic who's really pissed off that you came in and you were wearing tight clothing, or maybe you had something that a book that had a jacket cover on it that had a scantily clad person on there. That could be, if you're from the 1920s, might be considered pornography or borderline. So, um, you know, I've spent more time around Reform Jews, and they're they tend to be much more casual, a lot less. Hey, there were certain rules that were part of the times. The times they have changed, you know. So some of the things are just ridiculous. Like swinging a dead chicken above your head.
Yes. On the bright side, though, that's one of the things that my mom, when she was young, got the chance to play with the removed chicken legs. You know, back in Brooklyn, back in the days when her uncle was running numbers for the mob. That goes back a long time, and they'd get the chicken feet and figure out which tendons to pull to get whichever one of the posed. They had a. I mean, it was a long time.
Now, there is one thing I will say is definitely a positive about some of the groups of the Hasidic Jews, is that is depending on where you go in the world and where you find them, um, you will find that they can be uh, uh, like the what's that group of guys with the hats that donate to like the children's hospitals and things like that? The Shriners.
Shriners, yeah.
They tend to, depending on where you go in the world, you will most likely encounter Hasidic Jews who are being um, very humanitarian in nature, much like the Shriners are. But that's not everywhere. Again, it's depending on where you go. You'll find that some are very, very generous in terms of providing humanitarian aid towards others. And the same can be said about other religious groups too. I've lost count of the amount of times that I've gone to a shop. Uh, by shop, I mean, sorry, a restaurant, but a small restaurant, like privately owned, things like that,
Mhm.
that talk about how their menu is halal or halal or what's halal?
Halal.
Halal. Yeah, because they're Muslim. And they have signs up, and you see this stuff all over the internet. Well, I've been to sections of Maryland where you can actually find some of these places,
Mhm.
and they have signs up that says, "If you are hungry, just come and ask, and we will feed you. No money asked." Because you know their God is great, and their God's has provided for them. Therefore, they should be helping to provide for others, and that's kind of a misguided but beautiful sentiment. It's like take the God part out, and it's like you got a great sentiment there, in my opinion. But you know, at least they're being nice. At least they're being generous and caring towards others.
Willing to give a bit of a pass that way, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just
so let's kind of backtrack just a little bit because there's a piece that I want to very specifically hit, and it's because well, it's because Canada, which means Joseph gets to have a little bit of fun going, oh yeah, we used to do that. We did that, didn't we? Remember the whole thing about meatless Fridays for the Catholics, according to the Pope? And the nice folks up over there in Canada said, well, we really have a hard time getting fish. So can we have beaver? I mean, it lives in the water, basically. It's basically a fish. So can't we just go ahead and have beaver meat? Even though it's kind of not really a fish, but let's just classify it as a fish. And
I love eating beaver.
not demonetized.
I think beaver is very tasty, especially when it's nice and juicy.
But yeah, so yeah, up Canada way. Joseph, you know about this, don't you?
Beaver might be a little furry though, so you might have to shave it up first.
You're not helping.
Dude, I'm not letting this go.
You're gonna have to. Have to. So yeah, seriously, Joseph, we've talked about this before. You remember about this story, yeah?
Well, I was Anglican, so but yeah, we used to have yeah, I do remember.
See,
Dutch oven beaver roast.
the reason why I wanted to bring this that particular item up is for exactly the reason that I wanted to do this particular show. What the hell is the point? When all is said and done, there are so many traditions that end up going on. Really, what the hell is the point? You can't have meat on Fridays. Why? You can't. Okay.
It all comes down to the same thing. It's just obeying somebody else's. Somebody's telling you what to do, and you better damn well obey.
Yeah. And
your survival depends on it.
in a lot of respects, yeah. Okay, now see, this is first off, Felis, yeah, I know. And Stephanie is pointing out, fish only on Fridays was to provide a market for the fishermen. No joke. Didn't put it past it. I mean, let's face it. The intertwining of religion with commerce. No, we've never seen that happen before. That would be wrong.
Well,
But-
I mean, if the beaver smells like fish, it must be a tasty dish.
we're just gonna move past this because otherwise
Yeah,
we're going to be. Yeah.
Your beaver's getting old, dude.
Oh, I found a recipe. Beaver Bonanza Part 3. Beaver 3 different ways.
The worst part about it is I'm not going to get him started on the whole idea of a Canadian delicacy known as a beaver tail. The point that I'm going with, however, is that why do we even have? Why do we have some of these traditions where A, they don't seem to have any real sense, B, they don't follow their own rules, See, they really qualify as invocations and magics that are gleaned off of the seasons of the year. I, I've talked once before, at least once before, how Easter is not a specific day. It is the first day that they decide to use it on the first solstice after the coming of the Puxatawny fills. It's
the
just
day
stupid.
we tell you it's whatever.
Well, I mean, there actually is a methodology for figuring out what it's supposed to be. Theoretically, we have enough information these days that we could actually figure out what the day is supposed to be from year to year to year. But nobody seems to put that into actual, to print to figure it out. But it's always one of these things about the full moon, the solstice. It and I'm not going into it. I'm not gonna describe it because it's stupid. It's bullshit. It's archaic in the utmost, and it's just another one of these natural magics, quote unquote, because timing for everything. It's everything's got to do with the moon and the sun and the seasons and I mean this is
But
just paganism at its heart.
if we have the Farmer's Almanac, I mean, geez.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, God, you guys are killing me over there in the chat right now. No, not that. Stephanie, I forgot which medieval pope tried to drop it, then hastily had to restore it. Imagine that. The pope, who is supposed to be um the guiding force of the entire Catholic Church, the in I don't remember when the infallibility clause came into effect, doesn't matter. But when the head of your organization says we're not going to do this anymore, and then the people say, rabble, 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 rabble. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll keep doing it then. Yeah, you're not the head of your organization, Dr. Frankenstein. Think about that one.
Oh, like most politics.
Sort of, but it's worse than that. Because at least with politics, there is a framework that has been agreed to through successive groupings. With religion, whatever was put into place was the framework was just dictated. And then things were bolted onto it afterwards. Because, dictates.
But don't forget, I mean, a lot of the politics is getting dictated. It's not that the politicians are dictating it to us. It's that the wealth-based oligarchy is dictating to the politicians. At least in this country.
Sadly.
Yep.
Sadly.
And one of the groups that are really good at making a lot of money and donating a lot of money, the church.
Yeah.
Though they're supposed to get in trouble for that, but they don't.
Yeah. And to make sure that everybody understands, it doesn't necessarily have to be when we say the church, quote unquote. Sorry. I have to keep reminding myself I have to do it heretic woman's way. The church, scare quotes. It doesn't necessarily mean the Roman Catholic Church. That's one of the biggest organizations, of course, and a lot of times when people talk about quote unquote the church, yeah, that's what a lot of them mean. But in this case, when in this instance, the church having money flowing into different areas to grease the wheels for various different things, it's not always the Catholic Church. As a matter of fact, there are news reports that had recently come out about the nice folks out there Utah way
Oh,
doing
the Mormons.
bad things with, hiding money.
Oh, don't
A
worry, they got
lot of
fined.
money.
They got fined. A grand total of 0.00156% of their profit was made into a fine. So,
Cost of doing
that
business.
that must have hit them really, really hard. Um, but don't forget, the beautiful, the amazing thing that people forget about fines are fines means that it's not technically illegal. It's only illegal if you can't afford to pay the fine. Therefore, it's rules for thee and not for me. You know what? I see this. I actually see an excellent example of this. There is a section of Maryland that has, it's very prominent. A lot of quote unquote wealthy people live in the area. And there's this street that has all these signs warning you if you go above the speed limit, the automated system will snap a picture of your car. There's speed cameras, and you will get a fine. Okay. And I have lost count of the amount of times that I've visited that road and just saw somebody just go speeding down the road, and you see the light at every single intersection flash. They're getting their picture taken of their license plate at every single intersection. There's something like 6 or 7 cameras long because it's a neighborhood. It's a neighborhood where kids play and people live, and they just speed right through it. I had one day where I saw 3 cars go speeding through there, all getting flashed, and they were all really expensive cars. And what that tells me is that speed limit doesn't apply to them because they can afford to pay those fines, and it's a drop in the bucket for them, and they don't care, or they know how to go to court and get the fines taken care of and get it all thrown away. They just don't care because they can afford to not care. Whereas if I were to do that, that'd be a bad day for me. So yeah, anytime you see a law that's broken and there's just a fine, it just means, if you can afford to pay it, it's not a law. It's not illegal.
And the thing of it is, it isn't just for civil law where that happens. Uh, Again, going back to what I remember, Catholic Church, you would pay, whatever it was that you would tithe, and yes, they're supposed to be amounts, and some of that was to help pay your way out of problems. And we know full well that historically there had been the indulgences. And thank you, Martin Luther, for going ahead and saying this bullshit and putting your stamp of approval on it. Stumped on that really good. But that's what it was. It was a fine for whatever it was, just to say you've done something wrong by us. So we can either badmouth you to everybody in the community, or you just pay us a whole bunch of money and we'll just kind of just let it go. We'll forgive it. We'll clear your ledger of um, uh, thinking bad things about you.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to see like real change based on laws, and the you have to change the repercussions, right? If we made it so that here's a great example using the Ohio train derailment. Okay, the derailment had happened not because of the Biden administration, but because shit that happened during the Trump administration. Okay, people who were moved out of one office and other people were put in, and different things that were allowed to happen in the name of saving money. Okay, and because of that, instead of having good electronic brakes on the train with the proper precautions for the kind of materials that were on it, it was allowed to be a downgraded rating, and they had air brakes that were lackluster to begin with.
Good
And
word
so
for
we
it.
have a derailment. Right. Now, the EPA says that they could, not that they're going to, but that they could fine the company something like $30,000 a day or something, or whatever it was. It was a really low number, which is a drop in a bucket for them when you talk about making billions and billions in profit. That means that after everything is said and done, all the bills are paid. That's what you have left over in, profitability. When you have billions and billions and billions of dollars left over, a couple grand a day is not going to do anything. That's
Yeah.
like, oh, they're buying a new car each day, a cheap one at best.
Yeah.
And if instead, if they said, well, since the CEO, this particular CEO and this board of directors were in power when the decisions that were made that resulted in this derailment, you guys are going to jail. You guys are personally going to be fined, and but you're still going to jail, but you're also going to be paying for all the cleanup. You're going to be paying all the bills. And then your company is going to be paying a hefty chunk of their profits, their gross, or better yet, instead of their profits, their gross income, not what they do that. Something that's actually damaging to the company. That's used to force the change necessary so that doesn't happen again. But we don't do that because the lobbyists are in charge for those companies. And it's not in the best interest of the company to actually pay penalties.
Really quickly, and then kind of moving off of this particular specific, Stephanie had a good one. Company should pay for the cleanup. That would bankrupt them.
No, it wouldn't.
It probably wouldn't, but at the same time,
but yes, I agree that they should pay for it. It's just that they've made so much in profits by cutting maintenance and by cutting labor costs and by cutting labor costs, I mean, actually not paying people living wages, by cutting positions and forcing that work on other people. So now a person has to do the 2 times or 3 times the normal amount of work that a person should be working for their position. But you're right. The company should be paying for it, and but more importantly, the people in charge of making those decisions at the company that caused that stuff to happen need to feel the pain. And I don't mean the pain in the wallet. I mean they actually need to go to jail.
I get you. And again, there's a whole mess we could go through with that, but I want to move.
Well, the short version is if companies started realizing, oh look, we're the board of directors. We're about to make a decision that if things go wrong, we could wind up in jail. Maybe we should upgrade the brakes on that train because we saw what happened to that one company. Maybe we should pay our employees a living wage because we just saw what happened over at JP Morgan. Maybe we should, invest in the better protections that OSHA says that we're supposed to have in our factories because of that one guy who fell into the molten metal and died because our securities weren't up to snuff. And their board of directors or their VIPs are now doing 10 years in prison. Maybe we should actually do the right thing because we don't want to go to jail.
That's fair. And again, there's plenty down that particular rabbit hole. I don't want to spend any more time on that one in particular. So,
but like you said with the churches, you're right. People used to be able to donate to the churches and get the protection of the church.
Well, I don't know that donate's the right word for it. It was a racket.
Yeah.
It was
I'm
a protection
being
racket.
Generous.
No, that's fair, but it's hard not to see it as a protection racket. And being that my family's had actual, well, what I was going to say is being that my family has had interaction with the mafia a long time ago, not going to go any further than that. I myself have not, so it is what it is. But as far as to protection from what? Protection from threat. And really, that's the funny part of it is, that's it. It was protection from threat from the church itself.
Of imaginary things.
Yeah, that's really it. I mean, what were they going to do? Excommunicate you from the church. You're no longer a part of our body anymore. Shoo. Wasn't it Groucho Marx that said, I would never be part of a club that would want to have somebody like me in it? Something like that. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But yeah, that's what it came down to. If you weren't part of the church, well, obviously you were. Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. You're not on the inside, you're on the outside. You're on the outside, you are not to be trusted. You are not part of our collection. So then everything just kind of goes sideways, and well, it is what it is. And oh wow, look at that. Back in the day, you could end up being, I don't know, having an army raised against you because, I mean, had to use those swords for something.
Well,
Yeah.
it always comes back to accepting unquestionably other human ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that we have to also remember is that some of the stuff that we're describing, especially right now, is stuff that dates back a couple hundred years. Things have changed significantly in that time. We don't just take it for granted that there is a God, for one thing. We don't take it for granted that the church has our best interests at heart. We don't take it for granted that Cardinal Richelieu shouldn't be played by, I mean, the best Cardinal Richelieu is just, I mean, Frankenfurter as Count Richelieu. I mean, just come on, Count Cardinal. God, screwing up right now. The hell is in this coffee tonight? Whatever it is, it's not enough. Tim Curry as Cardinal Richelieu, just Anyway, sorry, sideways. But the idea that we have had things that have been put in place over generations upon generations, and over time, as we've learned more, as we've decided that we've become tired with some of these things, it's like it really has become, why do we even bother? Where is the significance? What's the point? Lent, think about this for a second. Lent is a watered down version of Ramadan. It really is. Ramadan is a month of, from sunup to sundown, you don't eat. I'm making it very, very, very simplistic.
Yeah, it's called fasting.
Yeah, I mean, you're allowed to have water. I mean, come on. But the idea is that you are supposed to give up and feel how I'm trying to remember how it was explained to me by one of the guys that I used to work with once upon a time ago. And to give you an idea as to how far back it was at the dial-up ISP that I used to work at. So, and he's actually somebody I miss. He was a nice guy, the nicest. And the idea is that you're supposed to feel, you're supposed to work hard for your religious faith. Now, admittedly, for us, it sounds stupid. And to us, we don't get it. Generally speaking, we don't. And it's not exactly the greatest thing in the world to do to the human body, but shit, there's a hell of a lot worse things that you could be doing. But there is supposed to be a reason for it. There is an actual symbolic thing for it. Tech, sitting Shiva. Symbolically, there was actually a reason for that once upon a time ago.
You talking about the days of mourning?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's time for healing. People get together, they mourn. It's over a period of time, and somebody's died. You need time to heal. And you ask any psychologist or any psychiatrist, um, anywhere, hey, do people need time to heal when a loved one dies? And the answer is going to be, yeah, of course. What are you, daft?
That's
Or,
the nicest way to put it.
maybe something nicer than that. I'm kind of in my cynical stage right now with all the shit going on in the world. But the thing is, though, is that different people need different times to heal. This is kind of, everybody's taking like a whole week together. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but in all the funerals I've attended, I would never want to spend a week with some of the people in my family line.
That's fair.
Now, a lot of the friends of some of the deceased wouldn't mind spending a week talking to them and hearing stories and things like that. But, we pick our friends. We don't necessarily pick our family.
I do have to say, though, that sitting Shiva sounds like a cold Canadian morning on the toilet.
Well, it's almost as entertaining. Then again, I mean, let's also remember that once upon a time, not too very long ago, it was not terribly uncommon for the departed to be laid. I don't want to say in state exactly, but I mean, laid in a parlor in their own house or somebody else's house where folks could come and be, and it wasn't a commercial thing. Family came together, friends came together, they shared stories, they kept each other company, and in some cases, for whatever superstitious part, although pretty sure there was a reason for it at one point, it was a matter of also, keeping the body safe. So that, what was it, within 7 days to be buried?
No, 7 days after the day of burial.
Okay. Well, no, I'm trying to remember. Buried after death, within 7 days, buried, right?
Wait, we're talking about when sitting Shivas begin, right?
Okay, so as I remember it, and I'm sure I'm screwing something up.
So it begins when the deceased is buried, and it lasts for 7 days.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a different piece for whatever reason. After someone dies, in the Jewish community, how long after death? What's the window for being buried?
Oh, that I don't remember.
Because I thought it was within 7 days or at the 7 day point.
So with I don't know how long any of that is, but with the Shiva is supposed to start immediately after burial. The first, so it's like it's the people who are the immediate family stay home for like a week. And the people, just like in Japan, the people come to visit you.
Hmm.
And so, like in a Japanese wake, where they come and they say things, and while the family's healing. So, for anybody who's watched like a lot of Japanese shows and stuff, like I've been doing lately. Anyway, um, so supposedly you're supposed to stay home. So like if my mom died, it would be be my family staying home for starting after the burial's over. We go home and then we stay home for like a week, and people would come visit us at our home, and they would give their condolences. They'd say their piece, maybe a memory or two, share a memory or two, and then they would leave. And in the quiet periods in between, my dad and I were supposed to be doing stuff like, you know, acknowledging the shock of the loss and going through the various stages of grief and such. And in a way, you don't need a religion to know that that actually is kind of healthy. Um, so, you know, when my folks, I'm probably going to need a lot more than a week off. And hopefully I'll be able to get the time off I need.
Yeah, I get that.
But as far as how long they're allowed to stay above ground after departing, I don't know. That's going to be Google.
And that's fair.
I'll be right back, guys.
Sure, no worries. Yeah. So now, as I recall, there also was the idea of sitting what's commonly been referred to as awake. Sorry, two separate words. A wake. And it's and as I recall, now I don't know how real this was. I'm sure it had happened at least once, and really that's all it takes. Was that the idea that the person would be presumed dead? I say that for a reason.
Yeah.
Put in a box.
especially in way into the past, before we understood death as much as we do now.
Mm-hmm. Put in a box, put in the ground, covered over, but with a string on the inside leading to the top, to a bell, so that if it turned out that the person wasn't actually dead, they could find, in their panic in the dark, find a string, pull the string, and bell would go off, and whoever it was that was sitting at the time watching over the body would presumably get woken up by the bell, and let's dig them up. They're not really dead. So,
Yeah, but I don't think that's the origin of the wake.
probably isn't, but at the same time, it is a tradition that has survived, even though the origins for it may be antiquated beyond anachronistic. That's the word I'm looking for. Anachronistic. So, we don't generally speaking, we now know somebody's when somebody is dead, we can pretty well say that they're dead.
A lot of people don't realize is that in the past, a lot of wakes, the ceremonies, when the person was dead and they were done with them at the funeral home, the bodies would be brought home, where they would be washed and then dressed and taken care of and groomed and things like that. And friends and family would come by so that they could have their last interaction, one more interaction with the deceased. And so you actually had a corpse in your house.
Yeah, and it was considered
And believe it or
normal.
not, it's still done.
Yeah,
It is still done.
not
It's
not
just
as
not
often
as
as it used to be.
common.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
It's
because
getting less and less common.
and part of that is because most most modern constructions don't have, quote unquote, a parlor, which, as I recall, is really what the point of it was. You would have a house, you would have a parlor, and it could have been considered, a living room or an additional dining room, but it was really for the house, for the family, so that when someone passed, you had a dedicated room specifically for that. At least that was the way it was explained to me when I was a kid with my family. We didn't have one. My grandparents didn't have one, but at the same time, I, I heard the stories of not exactly the old country, so to speak, but the old country as referred to Brooklyn, which for me, that's the old country, because where I was born. Brooklyn, not Brookline. That's a completely different place. We don't talk about them. Boston, screw them. Sorry, what?
Nothing. I snickered.
That's fine. So some of the stuff, it makes sense. Still, there are reasons for getting together, and a lot of times, there are good enough, quote unquote, reasons to do it for secular. For large Italian families, which I could have just stopped at Italian families, you get together once a week. Sunday, you boil. Oh my God, I couldn't. Okay, the trope of the huge Italian family and the huge platters of spaghetti and the huge vat of tomato sauce.
You mean gravy?
No, marinara
Yeah.
with brioche.
My Italian grandma, she said, you gotta have some of that gravy on it.
You know, uh, that honest and truly calling tomato sauce gravy. I really do believe that is a New York City thing. I don't know anywhere else where they call it
She
that.
was full-blooded, born and raised in Italy. She moved to New York like midway through her life.
I don't know. But be that as it may, um, I heard it
She's the
called
one who
gravy.
taught me how to make meatballs.
I heard it called gravy. I heard it called tomato sauce. But for me, marinara, because it's the hunkier, meatier. You want to do it right. You get some brioche. You put in there. You put you make the meatballs. Put the meatballs in the sauce. Let them simmer. Sausage, just cut it up. Put it in there. Just let it simmer so it cooks. Oh, sorry, I'm hungry now. Now I know what I'm gonna have for dinner tomorrow night.
How do we get? How did we get from?
Because you don't have to have a religious reason for having things
No,
that you
no. How
do.
do we get from Ash Wednesday to meatballs and marinara?
Because Meatless Fridays here in the Buffalo market, by the way, Meatless Fridays is something that's not exactly tradition, so to speak, on a yearly basis out here, but Fish Fry Fridays is a Buffalo staple. And the fact that, we've got an old population for the Buffalo market, it really is, and very heavily religious, Christian especially, it's one of those things that's just kind of continued on. And it nobody really thinks about it in terms of, well, it's a holdover from Meatless Fridays during Lent. Okay, whatever. I mean, you can get a fish fry. If you're lucky, you can get it almost any time you want. But you want it fresh, it's on Friday. Everybody gets delivered.
The further south you go here in the States, the more likely you are to find a fish fry.
I don't think you'll find it quite the same.
No, probably not.
And when I was growing up, down the New York City, Long Island area, I'd never heard of this. The closest thing to a fish fry for me was going to Arthur Treacher's. And God, I miss that.
I
But,
remember that.
yeah, but you don't need a religious reason to do that. As a matter of fact, it's almost more fun not to have, because you just do. And again, you can do it whenever the hell you want. You want to have, you don't want to have meat on Friday? I mean, okay, that's fine. But really, is there any real point to it?
Yeah, my pepperoni when you take it from my cold, dead hands.
I am not allowed to. I ate too much of that damn summer sausage. I can't have that. I'm sorry, Joseph. What was that?
Oh no, you just had too much pepperoni.
There is no such thing as too much pepperoni.
Kinda.
Depends if it comes with pineapple.
You do not serve pineapple and pepperoni on the same pizza. You serve pineapple with ham on your pizza.
I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to go down that road with you.
Too late.
Yeah, you're quite right. So, when all is said and done, are there actually, as far as we can think of, there actually any religiously based traditions that are worthwhile? And by that I mean they actually serve an objective good purpose. Because there are it's
I mean, your sitting Shiva, what you mentioned, is something that you could possibly say serves a good purpose because the result of it, the acknowledging the multiple stages of grief, the shock or loss of a loved one, that, the people who are most affected, meaning the immediate family, really should be taking time to stay at home. And the other people who are coming by are usually coming by and just they're not there to stay. They're there. They let them know that they're thinking of them. They might bring a gift, to
bring,
help consolidate them.
bring food.
Right? They might bring food, um, but they don't. They're not there. They're not there to stay and be a burden on the people. You know, and then they go. And so, in a way, that is definitely very helpful. However, you know, somebody might not want to open their home up for 7 days of people coming and going. They might want just to be left the hell alone. So if you account for people needing time to themselves, allow it to be uh, modified to the needs of those affected, then let it go. It's fine. If you're following it much more strictly, you got basically got an open door policy for a bit. And that might affect some people very negatively, especially if they're not very social. Yeah.
What about you, Joseph? You think of anything offhand or different angle that you want to take on it?
Well, I can go two areas. Charity, but
I was thinking about that one too. Yeah,
but lies by omission. How much of that actually gets to the people that it's supposed to be destined for?
yeah.
It's kind of like I kind of get the feeling that it's like the homeless person who has a little puppy to try to get people to donate.
Yeah,
because people
see
feel
where you
sorry for the puppy. But it's the homeless person who gets the main brunt of the donation. And yeah, well, basically every holiday that ever meant anything to humanity has been hijacked by religion in one way or another.
And or commercialism. I'm looking at
Yeah.
you, Christmas.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, Christmas at its origin was supposed to be the celebration of well, the shortening of the lengthening
The
of the
solstice.
days, like yeah, that's it, and that's all.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the celebration of the days are getting longer with the nights getting shorter. The winter is going to be coming to an end. There's a promise of the return to the warmer timer and climate, that your food will continue to last out, that you're celebrating that you've made it through this time frame. And now what is it? People spending so much money that they have to take out a new credit card to give things to people that they don't really like in many cases, or they don't want to give anything to. But oh well, they did it, I better do it too. Or they gave me a card with money, I better give them a card with money. And oh, it's a season, I gotta put on a smile and pretend to be nice. It's like, look, I'd rather you just be an asshole rather than pretend to be nice to my face. Okay, don't lie to me. Just just be blunt, be honest. I'd rather you be honest because we can work with honest.
Yeah.
But every time Christmas comes around, to me, it's the fakest season of year. The people saying, "Oh, how good they were and how awesome they're being because it's the season." It's like, how about this? Hey, lady, hey, mister, you know, the ones who are saying that you're being nice because it's the season. How about you just try being nice? Period. Forget the season. You know.
Yeah. And for me,
Oh, and apparently I'm the bad guy for saying that out loud to people. By the way.
um, and for me, I never got East.
A rabbit pooping eggs out its butt.
No, no, no. I mean,
Oh, it's a little baby Jesus going behind bushes to lay chocolate eggs for kids.
anybody could leave chocolate eggs, kids, but you get arrested for that these days if they can identify you through. They can do that,
It ain't Tootsie Roll flavored, that's for sure.
German Tootsie Rolls. The
Oh
thing
God.
about Easter for
Recycled
me,
cereals.
thank you. The thing about Easter for me growing up, I I always had it differentiated in my head. Not because anybody told me about it, but because it just worked out differently. The whole commercialism part, the the plastic grass to put into the basket, I always hate. I always hate. But I mean, the the egg dyeing, don't get it. I never really liked hard boiled eggs. So yeah, I mean, the whites I liked, the centers, no, thank you. Just uh, chocolate. I mean, what's not to like for chocolate? But then the religious side of it, it never made sense to me from the standpoint of what is it that's supposed to be commemorating, and then why is that being celebrated? You're celebrating a murder, according to the story. That doesn't sound like something you should really be doing. I mean, we don't celebrate that we chopped off the heads of people in France. We celebrate the well. Hold on,
Wait,
hold
are
on,
you
hold
sure
on.
about
Wait, wait,
that?
wait, 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 wait for me a second. The Steel Day celebrates people being released from, and the place basically being I'm not going to say torn down, but the overall of this should never have been done. This is a bad thing. Tear the whole damn thing apart, so to speak. Now, if I've misunderstood it from its actual, that's because of how the whole thing got translated to me in my education. I'm not saying I've got the end all be all by any stretch of the imagination, because, I mean, hell, half the time I don't even remember what my actual age is. So, whatever. So, somebody actually has a much better idea of it. So, clarify me. Am I accurate in saying that Bastille Day is not specifically we're celebrating that we chopped off the heads of these people?
Well, it's the overcome of tyranny, and that's kind of part of it. And I don't know if you've heard the words to the Marseillaise.
Honestly, no, I have not.
We'll bathe the wheat fields with the blood of our enemies.
You sure you haven't translated this from the original Klingon? Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, well,
I've got something to read up on later now.
yeah, Google.
Yeah. Stephanie had also pointed out the best Christmas I have ever had is recently, on my own, enjoying good food. The Italian in me says, I salute you. Yeah, it's hard to argue having good food. Just you can enjoy without having a whole bunch of folks. But and she's also put the mob found a handful of people in the Bastille. It was a sanctuary for them, and I have no idea what happened to them after.
A sanctuary? What? The Bastille was a sanctuary?
The mob found a handful of people in the Bastille. It was a sanctuary for them, and I have no idea what happened to them after. The few people that were, I guess, hiding out. But okay.
Well, it was actually a prison for the pampered rich, but it was also built as a protection against the Parisians, because the Bastille was built at the eastern gates of the city, and just beyond lay Vincennes, which was the royal palace of the time. So it's to prevent rioters from exiting the city and attacking the castle where the royalty was.
Any opportunity to keep people from slitting your throat is, generally speaking, a good one.
Yep.
Generally speaking. But oh yeah, so Easter, like I said, for me, yeah, man, I even as a kid growing up and being taught all the stuff, because, well, I mean, Sunday school sort of, not exactly. It was Sunday school only in so much as the families didn't want to be disturbed and had the kids, fidgeting around on the hard wooden deck that were the pew seats. So let's have all the kids go over to the high school that's attached to the church, and have them hang out with somebody that can teach them the stories. That didn't really work out well. That really got well. But yeah, man, celebrating and celebrating Lent before Easter, and this is where it comes back around. Celebrating Lent before Easter, where you are supposed to, according to the tradition, give up something for the 40 days that you otherwise like. As I said before, you are not getting my coffee because fuck you, my coffee. You get your own. Actually, I'm gonna have a little sip.
I was looking at one of the Wikipedia entry. It also used to include not just fasting, but abstinence for those 40 days.
Yeah, that's not healthy. The Now the reason why I wanna hit this one again really quickly while we still got a little bit of time left. The whole thing about what the hell is the point when it's completely lost its reason. Like I said, Easter, 40 days before that is Lent. You give up something for the 40 days just for whatever the reason. But now you go down St. Louis way, you go down you go down Nolan's way. That Tuesday, the day before Lent, is a grand party where people imbibe, get drunk, possibly screw, but have a blast day of it. This doesn't exactly feel like somebody is really sliding into Lent, so to speak. They're not exactly, really embodying what Lent is supposed to be. It sounds more like they're falling into it, kicking and screaming the whole time that they're praying to the porcelain goddess for the whole night. Maybe that's what it is. You just get so blackout drunk that you just think, I'm not gonna do this for another month. I'm not gonna do this for another month. And I mean, at that point, you probably just don't want to. So, but I mean, seriously, I mean, Mardi Gras, right before 40 days of giving up stuff. It's like, I mean, what better smack in the face is there for religious give it all up, be dour? I just love the idea of that. Because what do you do at that point? Actually, come to think of it, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I ever heard anything come down from like the Catholic Church condemning Fat Tuesday. Wow, how curious. I never really thought about it. Huh, huh. Anyway, but yeah, it's that's the one thing that I very specifically remember, where it's very much an opportunity to party up like crazy, like nobody's business, and it's based on it's based on the Creole version of Christianity down there. The people who used to be Canadians. Don't you snort at me. That's what happened with the Creole folk. Yeah, they were the French some of the French Canadians that were basically berated out of provincial French Canada, and they shuttled their way eventually down into Louisiana, down the Mississippi Bayou, and ended up settling down there.
Until Napoleon sold it.
Well, Napoleon was a pissant anyway. But that's just me. I didn't even, I didn't even think about. I've never had the opportunity of being down there in New Orleans. Never been to a Mardi Gras thing. I don't particularly like the idea of getting blitzed drunk like crazy. And trust me, nobody needs me to be flashing my tits at. But
I think I got $2 around here somewhere.
I was going to come up with a man boob joke, but anyways.
We don't need to. But you know what? That is most assuredly a party, a tradition, a celebration that is a direct response to a religious tradition that I'm more than happy to get behind. Because it is the complete antithesis. Yes, I used the right word and I said it right the first time, and I didn't run it through my head before it came out of my mouth of what the entire thing is for Lent. And Easter is supposed to be the big holiday, even above Christmas. But Easter, I'm sorry?
Antithesis.
Yes. Easter for me is just the anniversary of the day where I posted up on Facebook and said, I'm an atheist. God of the Bible that I believed in was a monster. I would never be that. And that's who I am. People ballistic on me. Like I said, the one guy who's a dick, still a dick.
Hey, an oyster is just another. It's a German holiday celebrating springtime.
Whoa. Wait, what now?
Oyster. O-E. I forget. O-E-R-S-T-E-R.
I don't
It's
recognize
another
it.
hijacked holiday. Oyster? Okay. It's just another example of what we were talking about earlier.
Oh, it's an old holiday that was, gotcha. I gotcha.
And that's where Easter comes from.
Gotcha. And there it is, came up on the screen. Yeah, I could spell it in my head. I mean, visualize the letters to reread it several times. I just don't recognize the term itself enough off the top of my head. That's so.
I think it's a goddess, if I'm not mistaken.
You know what?
Eostre.
I'll look it up and see if I can't link it for show notes for later. You know, before I pass out.
I'm sorry, I was wrong. Eostre. And it's the
Well, here's
pagan
one for you.
goddess of dawn.
Already.
Here's a holiday for you. Lupercalia, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It was a pagan festival held in Rome each year on February 15th. Now, some scholars believe that that's where Valentine's Day came from, despite Valentine's Day being named after a Christian saint. You know, because Christianity, they never, treaded on other religious traditions or anything like that.
Oh, no,
But
no.
Lupercalia was hypersexualized, sometimes sadistic celebration. They did animal sacrifices. They had random flings. Those were supposedly to warn off infertility. Essentially, unrestricted bacchanalia. I just, it's just like, okay. Now, the
Nice.
positive is that sometimes the couples that would engage in fornication would end up getting married to each other and stay with each other just because they had such a good time together.
That's a good reason to.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you find that someone are compatible in the bedroom, and it's like, hey, like you. You do good. You do good too. Want to keep doing this together? Sure, let's team up. You know, want a tax write-off? Let's do this.
Jesus.
Well, that's today's day and age, but you know, I don't know.
It's a little
Don't know.
different now.
Yeah. But honestly, I think I think a lot of countries, including our own, need to have a little more bacchanalia and a lot less uh, a lot less
Puritanicalism.
school shootings, puritanicalism, uh, downright nastiness.
And
So say Valentine's Day should become future tax break day.
Potential tax break day, because you might not meet that special someone. I mean, it's only 24 hours long, and I mean, how many partners can you go through in 24?
I'm not going to
You have
answer
to
that
have
question.
you got to have recovery
Challenge
time. Not everybody can use Viagra or Cialis. You know, I'm just saying. You know, there is a limit on the human body, especially depending on how good a shape you're in. You know, and besides, who says you want a partner? Your hand might be your perfect partner for you.
Yeah, even after 24 hours, I still didn't want to marry myself.
I have some philosophical problems to run through my head tonight. I don't know. We're getting close to the top. I, I don't really have a heck of a lot of anything else to. I don't have any profound profundities. I don't have anything special to go ahead and close with, other than for those of you that are going to be enjoying your weekend, just enjoy it safely. Um, Stay warm, stay dry, preferably the two of them at the same time, because weather's been just really, really weird. Um, Either one of you got anything that you want to? I mean, anything left on the counter for you? Because otherwise, I got honest and truly, I got nothing.
I
Yeah.
got one.
Nope. Well,
You go ahead
oh,
first,
yeah.
Joseph.
No, I just wanted to say I've got nothing to add.
Oh, okay. No, I think what I want to add is simply this. Look, you might want to change something about yourself. I don't know what it is, but you might want to. And you know, it's hard to change. It can be even harder when the people around you are telling you exactly how you have to change, even though that might go against your nature. And what your change you're looking for is something that lines more along your nature, to be more you rather than more them. But any change that you want to make that's going against whatever, it's going to take time. So Lent, Ramadan, whatever, it's only like a month and a half. It takes at least 3 months of real effort to change something and get it set into your kind of your daily routine, to break a habit, if you will, or to create a new one. You need 3 months or more. All right. That's why so many New Year's resolutions to go to the gym fail, because after a month they give up. Rather than going, I'm going to go to the gym for the next 4 or 5 months before I consider giving up on my uh, uh, membership. You know, I'm going to go 4 or 5 months before I worry about how much weight I'm losing. You know, because by then, by the time you get to month 4 or 5, you'll have established your pattern. You'll have established a result and actually see changes. So if you're doing Lent, or if you're practicing, maybe you're go the route of Yom Kippur, or you're a Muslim, so you've got Ramadan, whatever it is, and you want to change something, you've acknowledged that there's something that you don't like, whether it's because it's against the law or it's against your own personal moral code, and you need to change something about yourself. Give yourself time to do it. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen over a month. It's going to happen over the period of a course of a quarter to half a year. to make that change at minimum. All right? So don't beat the hell out of yourself just because you can't do it overnight or you can't do it at the end of 40 days. Give yourself time, recognize that you're human, recognize that you're going to make mistakes, and that it's okay to make mistakes because you're human. Just learn from them. All right?
Fair. And just to double check, you're otherwise good, you said?
Yeah, I don't see what more I can add.
Fair enough. That being the case, then we'll call it a night. Thanks for being with us, everybody. Hope that you had yourselves
It's a night.
Yes.
We called it.
Hope that you had yourselves a good time and you got something to think about for the week ahead. Appreciate it. Over in the chat, Stephanie, as always, thank you. Don't know what was going on for the chat for you with the stuff not posting, but thanks for continuing to try out. Appreciate it. And Phyllis, I know that you were over there. Just thank you, hon. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and make this quick because I'm starting to feel a little cold, and I'm not quite sure why that is. That's not a normal thing going on in my office, so I'm a little concerned. If you'd like to be in touch with us, take a swing over to holycrapthevlogcast.com. All of our information is there. You can get the audio version of the podcast over there. Phone number, if you'd like to leave us a message, is 859-HCTV-554, 859-4288-554. And otherwise, like I said, just be safe, be kind, be careful, and just thank you. We really do appreciate you.
And next time you're ordering a pizza, remember, tell them to murder it with pepperoni.
Don't know that that's necessarily the right term for it, but you know what? You can always ask. We will see you again. Yes, next week is still on. There's going to be some stuff going on in the near future that I have to be a little bit attentive to. And yes, next week is my birthday. So y'all be good, be careful, and see you soon. So as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well, my lady. It is too damn many, but I am still in love. Matane Fujin, I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone. As always, good